When someone has a stroke, every second counts. Here to explain why we need to act fast, F.A.S.T, if found in that situation, is Dr. Alexander Kalesi, an EMS professional and a stroke survivor, Avi Golden. Dr. Kalesi, let's talk about that. We hear this all the time. Why is it so important to act right away when signs of a stroke have been seen?
Yeah, well, I think it's helpful to first identify what a stroke is. A stroke's an interruption of blood flow to the brain or a bleed within the brain itself. And so when there's that ongoing injury to the brain occurring, as you mentioned, it's important to act fast. That can manifest as a weakness in the face, a weakness of the arm, a disruption of speech, and that means it's time to call 911. The brain's really the organ that tells us moment to moment we're okay. So observing that in someone is really a key everyday opportunity to save someone's life.
And Avi, let me ask you, I appreciate you being here to share your story, but talk about how we can spot the warning signs of a stroke.
Sure. Well, again, I have a stroke, so it's hard to communicate, but you say the acronym FAST, droop, face droop, arm weakness, face talking, and also time to call 911.
And Dr. Kalesi, if you've had a stroke, what are the current treatment options?
Sure, it's a very exciting time in the treatment of stroke. There was a time when we only had a very powerful blood thinner, IV TPA, but as you can imagine, the most severe strokes involve a blockage of one of the larger arteries of the brain. And we now have catheter-based technologies called stent retrievers that allow us to actually remove those clots and restore blood flow to the brain. And so that's why with the Together to End Stroke campaign with the American Stroke Association and Medtronic, we're working very hard to make sure that people have access to these important advances in care.
And Avi, it seems like this should be common sense that when you do have a stroke to take an ambulance to the hospital and not try to drive yourself, but talk a little bit about why that's important.
Oh, absolutely. The time is the ambulance, the paramedic or police or the EMS goes to the patient and have a stroke, so then the ambulance to drive faster, and then the hospital is right there. So it's very, very fast and very, very good to the ambulance right there.
Yeah, you know, stroke treatment is very much a team sport, and so there are three key reasons to take advantage of the ambulance system. One is as fast as you think you're driving on the road, an ambulance is always going to be faster. Second, there's a system called pre-hospital notification, where the ambulance is calling ahead to the medical care team to let them get ready to manage your stroke effectively. And so that heads up is really, really important and only comes with using the ambulance system. And third, as I mentioned, stroke's a progressive process, so God forbid you get worse between when you first start having your stroke and before you're able to seek care. You want to have immediate access to medical professionals that can help stabilize you until you can get to the hospital.
Well, Doc, we've discussed what happens when it occurs. Let's go back before that and see what are some ways to prevent a stroke.
Absolutely. So a balanced, healthy lifestyle is an important first step in terms of activity and diet. If you have high blood pressure, you want to make sure that you keep that under good control. If you're a diabetic, you do have an elevated stroke risk, and so it's going to be important to keep very good sugar control and to monitor your sugar closely. If you're a smoker, the single best thing you can do for your health, and this is true in stroke as well, is to stop smoking. And lastly, just to keep access to regular medical care and screen for some of the conditions that may increase your risk for stroke.
All incredibly important information for folks out there, and for people wanting more. I can see the address over your shoulder there, but where should they go for more information?
strokeassociation.org. Strokeassociation.org is the website.
And a special thanks to the American Heart Association for that incredibly important advice. All right.